If you haven't yet already, don't forget, subscribe and hit that like button. And let's go. Nobody starts at the finish line. You have to start somewhere. In order for you to get to where you're going, to meet that destination, you can't think that you're going to get there instantly. Welcome to another episode of the Nothing to Something podcast, where I touch on different areas of life from all different experiences, all my personal experiences. I'm not a licensed professional, but I do have knowledge in different areas, and I've come from a lot of different things and overcame a lot of things. So I just give my personal experiences and my personal views. So we're talking about how we can go from a nothing place to a something place. And today we're talking about self-love. Yeah, we're talking about self-love. Why are we talking about self-love right now? You know, if you think about it, it's so many people out here that need so much self-love. Like, we be so busy on loving other people, loving our spouse, loving our kids, loving our family members, loving our activities, loving our job. But we forget to love number one, self. You know, and even, we love God, which you have to do, right? But you have to love you at the same time. Like, how can you love anything or anybody else if you don't love yourself? So, we talk about love, and we know that love means nothing without the actions behind it. So, in the same reference, self-love is nothing without the actions behind it. So I'm going to give out a few different tips on how we can go from a nothing place to a something place with self-love. These are things that I did. So one of the things I actually had to do was I had to ask myself, is it wrong for me to have self-love? Like, sometimes we start to think to ourselves that we wrong for being selfish with showing our own self-attention. Like, we be feeling like, oh man, no, I shouldn't do that. Oh no, it is wrong because this need attention or that need attention. So we be thinking to ourselves, no, I don't deserve it. I shouldn't do it. It's not for me. Oh, I need to be putting more attention over here. I'm not giving enough attention to my spouse. I'm not giving enough attention to my kids. I'm not giving enough attention to my parents. I'm not giving enough attention to my job. I'm not giving enough attention to something else. We be so fixed on, I'm not giving enough attention. I'm not giving enough attention to over here and over here. But in the grand scheme of things, are you giving enough attention to your self-care? Like, are you loving yourself enough? And, and what does that even look like? Like, sometimes we just like, all right, I know I need to love myself enough. We know that sometimes, like, if you're not giving yourself enough love, right? But it's like, what does that even look like? What does that mean? So some of the steps that I take, this was one step that I took. I asked myself, is it wrong for me to love me first? Is it wrong for me to give more attention to myself? And the answer is no. The answer is no. It is not wrong for you to love yourself. It is not wrong to put in that attention to yourself. It is not wrong. And I ain't talking about going buying clothes or buying an item online and things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking actually loving yourself. Now, sometimes that do come along with a purchase of something, right? It can come along with, gaining understanding of something, accomplishing something. That can come along with it, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how you actually give attention to your being, like how much you appreciate you, like the things that you do, like who you are. Like it ain't nobody else like you. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Like ain't nobody like you. There's only one you. And even if you have a twin, even if it's a triplet, quadruplet, guess what? Y'all all are individuals. And how do you know that? Because even though your DNA might be the same, your fingerprint is something different. That is not something that can be copied. Everybody has their own individual fingerprint. So no matter if you had a twin or a triplet or anything like that, you have to love yourself first. And in telling yourself it is not anything wrong with you having self-love. That is the basis for everything that I did with going from a nothing place to a something place with my self-love. You have to, I can't stress that enough. Like you have to know that you are worthy. You have to know that within you, like no matter what you may have done or anything, I'm worthy of giving attention to me. You are worthy of that. You know, that's one of the things that I had to do. What's something else that I had to do? I had to actually forgive myself. Whoo, that could be a tough one. That could be a tough one. And you might be thinking like forgiveness is easy, but sometimes forgiving yourself is really hard. Like somebody else can forgive you, God forgives you, the word tells you that God forgives you, and things like that. But do we always forgive ourselves? Like sometimes that can be hard to forgive yourself. Like, all right, I did this and it's in my past and I'm not doing it anymore and things like that. And you might have had a repetitive habit of something, but sometimes it's hard to forgive yourself and saying, oh, well, even though this is, but we always put that but in there and that's what stops you. You cannot think to yourself that you should not be forgiven. Like you have to forgive you. And it don't have nothing to do with nobody else. Like whether somebody else forgive you or don't forgive you or things like that. If you don't forgive you, it's not really going to matter because you're not going to have self-love. You're not showing love to yourself if you don't forgive you for any of your past mistakes, any of your past wrongdoings. You might have been 100% wrong, right? 100% wrong. But does that mean that you don't deserve your own forgiveness? You do. That's how you start also showing your self-love. That's how you go from a nothing place to a something place with showing your self-love. Like you have to forgive yourself. That is a must. Like how can you expect somebody else to forgive you if you don't forgive you? That's just hands down. How can you expect somebody else to say you love them if you don't show you love yourself by forgiving you? See how it's all intertwined. And again, whether it's not contingent on if they forgive you or not, but that is a basis of where it can start from. You have to forgive yourself. That's a must. You have to forgive yourself. That comes from within. Forgiveness of self, self-love, right? Now, does self-love mean that you just do anything and everything or whatever and without consequences or thinking about anything? No, that's not what that means. I am not saying that I went from a nothing place to a something place with self-love by just saying, well, I'm going to do whatever I want. Oh, well, because it makes me feel good, I'm going to do it. Or I'm exonerated because, I'm showing myself love by doing this thing. Something that I learned, right, is creating a problem to fix a problem is not a solution. Like, that's just, you can't think that. Like, if you really think that, oh, well, by me doing this, oh yeah, I'm showing I love myself because I'm doing this activity. I'm engaging this thing or whatever it is. but it comes with consequences that will create a lot of problems. It will create heartaches for other people. Like that's not a part of self-love, because self is, you got to understand, look at the root part of it. It's love. So you can't be doing, it's like, it can't have that. Like the two don't go together, right? The two just don't go together. You can't be doing something and then, oh, well, yeah, I'm showing myself self-love, but I'm doing something that is creating a major problem, which is going to now in turn cause for me to need forgiveness of myself. Boom. Nope. That's not, that ain't how it works. So that's something else that I actually had to do. I had to do the work, even if I didn't want to. I had to be patient. And that's my next step, talking about patience. Like, you literally have to be patient with yourself. Like, it take time. Like, especially depending on how you was raised, depending on the trauma that you've been through, depending on what people might have said to you. Like, you just might not be there. And guess what? It's going to take you some time to go to the place, like to really cross over into that bridge of having true self-love. You're going to have to give yourself that pace. You're going to have to pace yourself. Like, it ain't just magically pop up. Like, you have to give yourself that time. You have to allow the process to actually take its course. You have to. You can't cheat the process. You just can't. Because if you think that, oh, you're going to get there instantly, nope, it's not going to happen. Like, you have to start somewhere. Like, at the end of the day, you have to start somewhere. And if you think that you're going to get there instantly, like, you wrong. Like, nobody starts at the finish line. Like, nobody, you ain't never seen a track meet and it was just like, on your mark, get set, boom. Oh, I won. No, it don't work like that. Like legit. Like, we know it don't work like that, but understanding that in this microwave society that we live in, we throw it in, we push the button a couple of times, and boom, real quick, we got it. It's right there. That's something that you can't think that is going to be that same way with you loving yourself. And again, this is steps that I had to start taking in order for me to show that I loved myself, and not showing to the world I love myself, showing to me when I looked in the mirror, when I thought about myself. I had to ask myself, do I really love myself? So these are the steps that I was taking. I asked myself, is it wrong for me to love myself? And then I answered it. No, it's not. Do I forgive myself? Am I being patient with myself? I had to ask myself these things. And guess what? And when you are truly, genuinely, authentically honest with yourself, you are going to say, guess what? I am not here, right? When you come to that realization, I am not here, that's when you can start the process so you can get to where you want to get to, so you could cross the bridge. Like, everything is a bridge that you're trying to get from, you're over here in this place, in this nothing place, so to say, and you want to get to this something place, but you have to cross the bridge in order to get there. So these are some of the steps that I was taking and still taking, right? Because as they say, what is the biggest room in the house? The room for improvement. So we all, everything is, I say that I live life in moments, because one moment I can be here and the next moment I can be here. So if you live life in moments, it's not permanent. Like, even if you down, it ain't permanent. That's what I'm saying. I live life in moments. I might be down right here, but I ain't going to be down forever. So these are some of the steps that I had to take. I had to start asking myself, do I deserve it? And that's actually, that kind of go hand in hand with forgiveness. Like, I start asking myself, do I deserve this? Like, do I deserve this love? That do I deserve to be loving me? And you might be thinking like, yo, that's a crazy question to ask yourself. Like, do you deserve self-love? Like, do you deserve to love yourself? But guess what? Through negative experiences in life, through traumas, through people saying certain things to you, people bullying. And I'm not saying that these things happen to me, but these things happen to people, right? In a measure of some of these things did happen to me, right? And so, but understanding that, I had to ask myself, do I deserve it? And I had to start telling myself, yeah, I do deserve this. Like, I deserve to love me. Like, and it ain't about, oh, well, I deserve somebody else to love me. Oh, no, this is not what this is. This is, I deserve to love me. I started telling myself that. Like, I'm worthy of me doing this for me. There's nothing wrong with it. And once I started accepting that, once I start really taking hold into that, oh man, listen, my mindset just changed. Like, everything changed for me. I had a new lease on life, as they say. I was looking at things so much differently. I was just like, oh wow, like, I love this. Like, you have so much joy. And the reason that I say you have to tell yourself you deserve this, because guess what? Something that I learned in my years is life is short-lived, right? And it don't matter how old you get to, right? Life is short-lived, okay? Nobody lives forever right now. So what I'm saying is, why not love yourself? Like, if not who, then who will? If not you, then who? Like, if you don't love you, then who will? Like, how can you expect somebody to love you if you don't love you? Like, that's just kind of crazy. Like, you expecting people to give you a certain level of energy, but you ain't giving that to yourself. And I always say, the same thing that you kind of like emulate, like, people can feel that. Like, people can sense if you love yourself so much. Like, it don't matter what somebody else say or what they do. Like, they gonna be like, yo, that person, like, they got confidence. And it ain't gonna matter if you tell them something or not. Or they love themselves. It ain't gonna matter if you tell them something or not. Like, they're going to have that. It's going to be there. So what I'm saying is, love yourself. You deserve it. I had to say that to myself. And remember, a lot of things that I talk about mindset changing, mindset shifting. But where does a lot of that come from? A lot of it comes from me talking to me. Like, I have to say these things to myself, because guess what? You're not going to always have this positive, bubbly thing. It's not going to always be there. But you can create that. Like, you turn that switch on in you. Like, you have to, boom, turn it on, and it's there. If you look for somebody else to give it to you, you look for somebody else to charge you up, what's going to happen if they don't do it? So that's no different. Like, listen, that's like if you have a cell phone and you don't never plug it in, right? If you don't have you have no energy source. If your energy source comes from another entity, another person, another thing, what happens when that is removed? You no longer have juice. Don't do that. I've been there. I did that. I know what it's like to be at that place. That's why I can speak on it, because now I'm not in that place. And these are the steps that I took in order to get to the place that I'm at currently. It's a beautiful feeling. You will love the feeling. Like, you will always be energized in your self-love. And I'm not talking about being an introvert or extrovert. What I'm talking about is you have to love you, have that self-care, that self-maintenance, because that's what part of self-love is a part of self-maintenance. Like, you really having that in you first, and it's not coming from somebody else. Like, it can. So I had to say these things to myself. And I remember there was a time when my views was shaped based upon how other people felt. And you probably thinking like, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by your views is shaped by how other people feel? So as I was growing up, I remember as I was growing up, and my mom said to me, "Oh, man up." And no shade to my mom, love her to life. Um, but kind of the era that she grew up in, it was like, oh well, this is like her outlook or how her view of what a male or what a man should or should not be doing. That was her outlook. That was her view. And she was placing her outlook and her view onto me. And what I mean by is don't allow someone else's view to shape who you are. Like, you determine what your outlook or your view of something actually is. And you make that. So I grew up saying, oh, well, yeah, I didn't like what she said to me, but I started growing up saying, well, guys shouldn't cry. Oh, guys shouldn't complain. Oh, guys shouldn't do this. And it wasn't just like my mom didn't just say that. Like, this is something that my great grandfather actually said to me. Oh, well, this is what a man does, and this is what a man does, and a man shouldn't do this, and a man shouldn't do that. So I grew up with the view of being shaped of what he interpreted what a male should or should not do. And no, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be a basis of where there's a standard for what something should or should not be. But just understand, you don't have to adopt that view 100%. You don't have to adopt that view 100%. There's a reason why they say is more than one way to skin a cat. So just like 2 + 2 is 4, right? 1 + 3 is 4, right? So it's multiple ways that you can get to the solution that you want. You just have to see what things you can take from here, you can take from here, and these can be the things that shape your view on something. So these are some of the things that I had to learn. I had to say, I can't allow somebody else's viewpoint to 100% shape how I view self-love. Like I can't do that. And once I learned that step, and once I realized that, oh man, it was just like, game changer. like seriously, like the game, it was on at that point. I was like, oh, bet I can definitely take a little bit from over here and then take a little bit from over here. And this is how I want to implement it. And it still gets me to my destination, right? So it's no different than if a person say, man, I only make $15 an hour, but man, I would love to make $30 an hour. But they don't say they don't have the training, or they don't have this, they don't have the resources, right? They can take that and they can say, you know what? I'm going to go and get 2 $15 an hour jobs, and boom, I got $30 an hour. Now, is it going to require more energy and more effort and things like that in order to get? Yes, it is. But what I'm saying is there is more than one way to get the outcome that you are trying to achieve. And again, self-love. You cannot take on the viewpoint of how other people feel onto yourself and say, well, because they said that this is what I should or should not be doing, then, oh, well, then I feel bad, then I shouldn't do this. No, you can't do that. So that's why I'm saying I had to learn to stop shaping my views off of what other people did. And then I started asking myself, right? Another thing that I actually did, I started asking myself, what type of love am I looking for? Like, what type of love do I want? Like, and I ain't talking about intimate love. You know what I'm saying? I started asking myself, like, what type of love am I expecting from me? Like, we have an expectation on everything else or everybody else on what we expecting from them, but we don't put that expectation on ourselves. Like, we don't say, you know what? I'm expecting me to behave a certain way. I'm expecting me to not engage in certain activities. I'm expecting me to do a certain thing. Like what was like? I had to ask myself, like, what do I expect as in love, like for myself? Like, one thing I learned is you don't necessarily have to tell people how to treat you or what to buy you, right? Like all you got to do is show people how you do yourself, right? So that's something that I told my wife. Like when we first was dating, I used to tell her like, look, one, I'm hard to buy something for because I'm not materialistic. It's not nothing that I really want. But what I will say is if you want to see how I want to be treated, like just look at the things that I do for myself and then you just copy that. So like, for example, I didn't eat or I don't eat like McDonald's and stuff like that, right? Because I'm vegan. So, and I try to be health conscious. So, she didn't actually have to ask me what she wanted to do for me. She just looked at what I was doing for myself, right? I used to go to the spa all the time, right? This stuff that I did for myself. She paid for me to go to the spa. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same way. Like you want somebody else to love you, but look, they are going to look at how you love you first. Like they're going to look at the things that you do for yourself, and that is what they're going to look at as the baseline for how they should treat you. Now, I'm not saying that they may treat you that way or they won't. But what I'm saying is that's an easy way for them to look at how they actually are treating you, because they're going to say, all right, well, the standard that this person gives off on for themselves, this is what they do for them. So how can I bring them something any less? They ain't going to take it automatically. That's what most people are going to assume. So, I had to ask myself, what type of love do I show myself? Like, do I show that I love me? Do I show I care about my own well-being? Do I show I care about my own health? Like, how can I expect somebody else to care about my health if I don't care about my health? How can I expect somebody else to talk to me with respect and dignity if I don't show that I talk with respect and dignity? So show yourself love and ask yourself the type of love that you want to receive. And this is the type of love that you will show yourself. That's what I did. Now, the last thing that I did to go from a nothing place to a something place in self-love, I had to show up for me. Like a lot of times we expecting other people to show up for us and we don't even show up for us. Like how you expect somebody to put more energy into you than you put into yourself? Like tell me how that works. Like that don't even make sense. Like I'm expecting you to come to the game and drop 30, but I only drop 5. Like how that work? Like that just don't even sound right. So I had to show up for me. Like you have to show up for you. You have to say, this is what I'm going to do for myself. Like when you see people that work out all the time, right? The first thing you can either say, man, that person they work out so crazy. Like I can never do that, right? But something that you can say is, man, they really care about how they look. That's an easy assumption. They really care about how they look. We ain't talking about their health. We're talking about their physical appearance. That's why they work out so much. They really care about their physical appearance. So you got to show up for yourself. These are the things that I did. I learned to show up for myself. And once I learned to show up for me and stop making excuses for me, it was so easy for me to show myself the love that I wanted, the love that I deserved, the love that I needed. That's what I had to do. So remember, go be great. You got what it takes. And for my crazy story, right? I always give my crazy story. I remember when I was a kid, and when you're a kid, you're like, all right, I'm a I'm wearing my outfit. I got my lay on. I got my shirt, my pants, my sneakers. Like, my lay is nice. I'm like, I'm looking good out here in these streets, right? I was full of myself. Come right from the barbershop. Oh, man, because I knew I was about to go out. Come from the barbershop, got a fresh cut, and I'm feeling myself. You know what I'm saying? And as soon as I'm walking, I'm almost get to the house. A bird pooped right over me. Yo, it was so crazy because I had like a good easy like 3-4 block before I was gonna get to my house. And I'm talking, this bird poop was so crazy. Like, it came, boom, hit the head, was in my hair, you know what I'm saying? It got on my clothes. Like, I was so full of myself that now I'm embarrassed. Like, people see this white stuff in your hair, and bird poop dry quick. Like, it dry quick. You know what I'm saying? I had no money to like go to the store and buy some water, rinse it out my hair, whatever. So I'm just trying to hurry up, get to the crib. But man, again, so like I said, I got pooped on by a bird. And it just like, that was one of the moments that I said to myself, yo, it ain't good to be vain. It's just not good to be vain. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. Like, you just mad. And it's like, well, who I'm mad at? I'm mad at the bird. Like, so it was just crazy. It was a crazy situation, but that's my crazy moment, one of my stories. So remember, go be great.
You're in control of how you feel. You're in control. You are the determining factor of your feelings. No one else can control how you feel. Remember, you're in control how you feel. So control your feelings.